Okay, good morning, guys.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah. So, first of all, let me introduce myself. I'm Professor Dr. R B Ghongade, working in the ENTC department since last 7 years in this college. Got an experience of more than 27 years now in teaching. I earned my PhD. Please mark my sentences very carefully. I earned my PhD back in 2009 from Pune University, and my area of research was artificial neural networks and pattern classification of electrocardiogram signals. So I'm here to present a topic called as research methodology, unit number 5, wherein we are supposed to I'm supposed to tell you something about how to write the thesis and so on and so forth. Let us start with that. Okay. First of all, I would like all of you to understand one thing. I would like to my class to be interactive. So I would be asking a lot of questions and expecting answers from all of you. Okay. So what is your idea of research? Can anyone tell me? Let us start with that itself. Hello, guys. Hello.
हाँ, sir.
I've asked a question. I would like my session to be interactive. I've told you already. So, what is your idea of research? What did you understand from research since you have secured admission for research? What is your idea of research? First of all, tell me one thing. Are you aiming for a PhD degree or are you aiming for research? Yes, these two are two different things. Tell me. Come on. Let it be wrong. Doesn't matter. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Then why aren't you answering the question? Guys, this is going to be an interactive session. It's not going to be a monologue. Please. I hate those kinds of sessions where it's a monologue. Tell me. What do you mean by research? Okay, let us do it that way.
Research is nothing but the collection of proofs, otherwise evidence, collection of evidence.
It's just a part of research. Is anyone waiting in the lobby? I don't know how to. Okay. Somebody is waiting in the lobby. Somebody gave me some kind of message saying that. Let me see. I don't know. There is no option here. Just a minute. Just a minute. I think now anyone can attend. I've just enabled that option. Okay, yeah, back to our business. Okay, tell me, your idea of research was like collection of evidence and all that. Okay, that is just a minuscule part of your research work, right? The basic idea here is, as I've been telling some of you, I don't know whether I've been talking to Harshada, I guess, and explaining her what exactly is my idea of research. Okay. Do you
Yes,
want me to?
yes, sir.
Do you want all of you to understand what exactly is research, or shall I directly go to the
Yes,
topic and start talking about it? Do you want to know?
yes, sir.
Okay, that's fine. All right. So consider this as a. Okay, I'll use the same whiteboard here. Uh, Let me see if I can. Anyway, I'll use a space over here. Okay. Consider this is your problem statement, right? And this has not been addressed by anyone till now. Okay. So some people start working on that and from different angles. Okay. That I will um, mark by these lines. As you can see, these people are trying to solve this in all possible ways. That is the reason I'm showing a circle over there, a dotted circle, because there are few people working on this particular problem statement, right? Now, whatever they do on this, whatever they study on this, they study the problem first of all and try to find out the various possible ways to solve that problem. Okay, or maybe some kind of hypothesis is already there and they are trying to prove the evidence using the evidence, as somebody has already said, trying to collect the evidence, trying to collect the mathematical foundation, trying to find out experimentally to prove that hypothesis. Okay, so this, for example, this particular researcher has advanced and has worked. This much is the amount of work that has been
Hello,
put by this person. Hello,
sir.
yes, yes.
Hi, sir. Actually, there are many people who are waiting to join. They must be in the meeting waiting room. Can you allow
No,
them?
I don't have any option there, madam. This is what's the problem.
Okay.
I'm using
Acha.
Team and I don't see any
Because they
option.
are
Otherwise,
sending messages on the group that they are not
I
unable
know,
to
but
join.
I was actually, what I did was I have allowed everyone to join the meeting. So it's not only that
Okay,
people
sir.
from the same organization will do that.
Right.
So
Okay, sir. I'll tell them to maybe join from another account that is more relevant.
exactly. Okay,
Yes.
yeah,
Okay, sir. Thank you. Sorry for the disturbance, sir.
no problem. So yeah, back to my explanation. Okay, so what we said was that a particular researcher has taken this research in this direction, for example, and has contributed to this particular solving of this particular problem or proving the hypothesis experimentally or otherwise. And um, at the same time, the progress is up to this level. Okay, so many people work on this and they have different directions and they come out with these contributions and they advance what I call as the research. I'm sorry, this not able to do this. Anyways, so I call this as the research wavefront. Okay. Now this is the first generation of researchers. Now some other people, you can see that there are some gaps. These we call as the research gaps, for example. So these people, what they do, for example, this guy becomes a guide for the next generation of researchers. And obviously he will be in a position to understand all the possible fronts of this particular research, the latest state of the art, whatever has happened, whatever is the latest research wavefront, and then he or she will instruct uh, the next generation researcher to work in a particular direction to advance the field, advance the research wavefront still further. So as you can see here that the research wavefront has now advanced because of the second level of generations, and this continues and until all this because this problem is solved in all the possible ways. Okay. Now, as a researcher, or if you want to do some research, what you have to do is you have to advance this wavefront, this particular research wavefront in a significant way or significant manner. So this contribution, that is your delta X, I'll call, should be significant. And this significance is proved by publications. This can be proved by patent and filing a patent maybe, or a copyright. Okay. Now, technically speaking, your guide should be in a position to evaluate. Your guide should be in a position to evaluate this contribution. So delta X, if delta X is significant enough, you should be awarded the PhD. That is the idea. Okay. Now, in most of the IITs, the guides are in such a position that they can say, fine, yes, my student can do this. My student can has all contributed significantly, and so he or she can be awarded the PhD. But to be on the safer side, what we normally do is we ask you to publish papers in reputed, highly reputed journals. If it comes to electronics and computers and all that, IEEE is the first choice. Elsevier is the second. I mean, at par basically, and maybe Springer, up to Springer, I normally expect my students, not below that. So this actually enhances or this strengthens your claim of when if your paper is if your paper is accepted, it means that your contribution is significant enough, and so that you can be awarded PhD. Please remember that PhD is an outcome of your research work. It's not the other way around. So if you say that if you are registered as you should say that you are registered as research scholars and not as PhD scholars technically. That is the main difference. Have you understood this concept of research wavefront, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are there any doubts, any questions with this particular concept? This is purely my concept, and whatever I have understood and whatever I have interacted with so many different researchers, I came out with this idea of a research wavefront. Now, as I said, when you start with a research framework, you should already have your problem statement in front of you. Okay. Now, many times it so happens that your problem statement is not concretized at all. 2-3 years down, and still your problem statement is not concretized. Within the first 6 months, your research problem should be clearly identified. Okay. That actually is the reason why we demand in your progress presentations, we demand that you should have a clear-cut idea of the objectives. So objectives should be clearly defined. What exactly is the problem statement? What is the current scenario that is covered in the literature survey? What are the possible technical gaps which are let us say evident from your literature survey, that there is a possibility that this problem can be solved in so and so manner, in so and so direction. So this is exactly what is required when you start with your research work, and of course when you go for the literature survey and so on and so forth. That is the reason why literature survey is very, very important. Now, it is not a significant contribution if, let us say, for example, if it is a classifier. Back in 2009, I came out with my own classifier for electrocardiogram signal pattern classification, and it gave me an accuracy for 10 class classification. It gave me an accuracy of 99%. Now, there is nothing more left except for optimization of parameters and all those kinds of things. There is nothing more left to increase the accuracy. 99% is good enough, fantastic, in fact. But the point is that many researchers I have seen, many people I have seen, that they use different tools. For example, convolutional neural networks. For example, they use that and prove that okay, their accuracy of classification is now 94%. It doesn't make any sense. Already the technical wavefront, the research wavefront has progressed to 99%. So there is no significant, there is no contribution at all in sense. If that particular methodology is pointing to a particular optimization of a certain, let us say, the time that is taken for classification, the training time that is taken for the classification, the deployment time that is taken for classification, maybe the resources, optimization of the resources, as in memory and all those kinds of things. If that is there, then it may point to some kind of contribution. But again, that is not a significant contribution. So please be clear on that front. Who is going to give you the problem statement? It's not at all expected that you, as research scholar, should bring your own problem statements and guide will approve it. It's the other way around. Your guide should give you the problem statement, and because he has or she has worked in that field, and obviously you have selected the guides based on their field of specialization. So the guide is in a position to know the current research wavefront and should be in a position to identify the gaps. Once the gaps are the research gaps are there, then you can then the guide can tell the student, okay, proceed in this direction because there is a gap over here, and I have some kind of intuition based on the work that I have done and the wisdom that I have gathered so far. Based on all these things, he or she can point to a particular direction in which you can start working. So this is expected, actually speaking. Okay, so that was my concept of research. If anyone would like to add anything to this or has any question on that? If not, then we'll proceed. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, shall we proceed?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So the topic that has been given to me is introduction to developing research reports. I mean, this is more or less related to documentation of your work. Documentation, as I say, not only in terms of reports, not only in terms of thesis, but also in terms of presentation. So that also is a part of documentation. So we'll go through each and every topic over there. So we'll start with the definition of research report. The research report will serve as a conclusive, comprehensive record of your research process, your explorations, and the conclusions that you have drawn thereof. So it becomes a formal document. You can see very clearly that the objectives, the basic, the concept here is that the objectives should be clearly mentioned over there. So objectives, methodology, results, and implications of your research study. Please remember, implications are very important. Don't get confused between objectives and implications. Implications mean what exactly is the thing what is exactly the goal that is achieved by your research. Okay. Now, importance of structure and components. The structure of research report is specifically, this is related to how you organize your documentation. Okay. So it should be logical, it should be coherent, and it should ensure that the readers will be comfortable with the flow of this particular document. So each component plays a very, very significant role because it strengthens whatever you have done. It points out a very clear picture of what journey you have undertaken right from the beginning to the conclusion. Okay. And obviously it will also have the discussion of your entire findings. What are the types of reports? I hope this font is visible to all of you. Yes. Hello.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay. So what are the various different types of reports? First of all, you have to understand the types of reports. Empirical research reports. These present results of original research conducted by the author or the authors and often involve data collection, analysis, testing of the hypothesis, which I was talking about, or answers a research question. Now, there are two different directions for research, basically. I mean, to start with the research, two different start points, I'll say. One is hypothesis. What is a hypothesis? Hypothesis is something that you have observed and you think that there is some kind of underlying law which governs this kind of process or this finding. Okay. And then you try to prove that hypothesis with the help of some certain experimentation or some certain way in which maybe some kind of mathematical analysis. Okay. And that becomes a law afterwards, or it becomes a theorem, if you put it that way. Or there is another starting point. There is a research question. I'll call it as a research problem. So your problem statement is already a problem statement. For example, if I want to classify the human emotions, okay, that is a problem statement. How do I classify? So the question is, how do I classify human emotions using, for example, artificial intelligence? Of course, that second part will come later on. But the major question, the core question is, how do I classify human emotions? Okay, that is your starting point. Okay, so these are the empirical reports. Review reports. There are some review reports which provide synthesis of existing literature. So basically, this is all a study of all the literature that you have done, literature survey that you have done, or study that you have conducted, and then you can summarize the previous research to identify the trends, gaps, and area for further investigation. Okay. First of all, I mean, this is not directly related to your thesis. Please remember this. I'm just talking about the types of reports. Then you have to identify which type of report your thesis conforms to. Okay, based on whatever you have done. Then you have something called as case study reports, which focuses on specific case or instance, and it will provide a complete analysis of the real world situation and will explore some practical implications along with the theoretical concepts. So this is basically what we do in case of case studies. So you can have a case study report also. For example, somebody from statistics, research from statistics would say, okay, let me find out um, based on a particular case. Okay, that okay, this is the town in which these kinds of people are. I mean, these kinds of occupations, for example, is majorly carried out by the residents, and this is the type of the diseases, for example, that are associated more in this town. So is your kind of disease associated with their occupation, type of occupation? Is it then it becomes a case study, and then you can say that okay, this is an occupational hazard, and this is supported by my case study. So that is one way in which you can put up the report. Then you have experimental reports. Obviously, our technical and scientific disciplines, experimentation carries a lot of importance. Obviously, 90% of the things are done experimentally. So we have experimental reports with design, methods, results, and conclusions of controlled experiments. Now, understand the importance of controlled experiments. What are controlled experiments? They are carefully observed in all the possible situations. Specifically, you start with an ideal situation. For example, if I want to find out the variation of, let us say, semiconductor PN junction, it's just a trivial thing, just an example. Its dependence on temperature, we already know that. Okay, so other parameters keeping constant, I'll just change the temperature and see what is the change in the potential for a junction potential of the PN junction, for example, and then that becomes your experiment, controlled experiment. In scientific disciplines, hypotheses are tested through systematic observation and analysis. As I said, hypothesis is put up. First of all, you say that okay, this is related to that, but how to prove it? through systematic observations and analysis. Then you have theoretical reports. We don't support theoretical reports in, rather we don't accept theoretical reports in our technical research, but it might be there depending on the application. New theories of frameworks based on existing literature and empirical evidence contributing to some advances, theoretical advances of a particular field of study. Now this is theoretical, so most of the times this is these kinds of theoretical reports people normally do at at postgraduate levels, like in professional, like MBA and all those kind of things. It's not really relevant to us. Let us see the structure and components of your technical reports. This is basically what we are interested in. So the very first thing that we have to start off is with the title page. Now this report is directly related to the way in which you write your paper. Okay. So as I said, report is nothing but, your paper is nothing but your report. Okay. So all on these types of reports, you can say that, okay, these are the types of papers, publications. Okay. Just the generic name is reports. What you're doing is you're reporting. Whenever we start with any technical, any literature survey, and we start literature study, and then we conclude the study, summarize the study, we say that even if you start writing a paper, you say, when referring to a particular paper, you say that this particular researcher has reported an accuracy of, say, let us say 95%, whereas the proposed methodology gives us an accuracy of 98%, which is a significant contribution. So whenever you say this, it means that it's a report. Okay, you're also reporting. So somebody else can refer to your paper and say that, okay, Mr. or Mrs. Miss XYZ has reported 98% accuracy, and these are my findings, and this is what is my advancement in that particular accuracy. Improvement in the accuracy. So your technical report should always start with a title page, which includes essential information such as title of the report, author's name, institutional affiliation is very, very important, date of publication, and possibly other relevant details such as course of the research program. Okay, course or research program. So we have this kinds of just a second. Yeah, sorry. So this is what the title page should consist of. Be very clear in the title page. Don't always use a particular way in which you have to write your own names. If you want to write full names everywhere for all the papers. Don't simply write, let us say, I will give my own example, R B Ghongade. No, I will always write Rajesh B Ghongade. Any one method should be followed. Okay. Then comes the abstract. This is the let us say the thing which probably attracts the readers. Okay, most. Every time your abstract will be visible, whether it is a paid journal or whether it is, paid in the sense, whether it is a subscribed journal or whether it is free journal. The very first thing that pops up is the abstract. Based on abstract, you can just later on say whether I want to go and further read that paper or not. So this actually gives the first impression. Okay. And if your first impression is bad, then nobody will read your paper. Nobody will refer to your paper. Your citation index will not be there. Good. Now I've seen that people keep on writing hundreds of papers, but their citation index is very, very poor. I've seen a typical case where 90 papers were 95 papers were there, and the citation index, H index, which is called as, and citations and H index is very, very poor. Let us say 1 or 2. It doesn't make any sense. You are generating, in that case, what you are doing is you are generating Raddi. Nobody is reading it. Nobody is referring to it. So what is the point? What is the purpose? It doesn't serve any purpose. Okay. So that is the reason why you have to search for papers, search for publications where the citations are more, it is more visible. Okay. So that many researchers can have a look at your paper, cite your paper, your citation index goes on increasing. See, after PhD degree, earning of that PhD degree, later on, what is left is how, I mean, what is your contribution? And that contribution is seen only with the citation index or the number of citations that you have done so far. Okay, fine. So abstract will attract the people to read your paper. So you should provide a concise summary of the research objectives, methodology, results, and conclusions of the study. It is all restricted to 150 to 250 words. Of course, this may vary depending on the publication house. Okay, somebody will allow 300, somebody will allow 400, and so on and so forth. So depending on that, you have to make a summary of your summary of your research, and then correspondingly write the abstract. Now, before we start on to with any of these things, of course, we're going to see the grammar part of it, how to check in and all those kinds of things. But then the basic concept here is that your grammar should be perfect, because that creates a lot of impression, positive or negative, on the reviewer. I am a reviewer for IEEE. I am a reviewer for Elsevier. I am a reviewer for some other publications also. And what I feel, whenever I go through the papers, I feel the very first impression that is created is, okay, this English is very poor. This fellow doesn't know how to put his thoughts, his work in proper English. Unfortunately, English is the accepted norm for paper writing. Okay, fortunately or unfortunately, that is I leave up to you. But then whatever you write, whatever you do, you have to be very clear. You have to be very succinct. Okay, so that the impression on your on the reviewer is built up in a proper way. Okay, then you start with introduction. This section deals with which actually sets the stage for the research by providing some background information on the topic. So this is your entry point. How you start with this, how you start with this research, how you started with this research, and what was the motivation, and what was the exact research problem or question, and what is the scope, what exactly you intended to do with this problem. For example, I want to improve the accuracy, I wanted to improve this, there is some kind of research gap here, so this is the question, this is the research problem, and I want to solve it in this way, this is this. So this actually is your introduction to the report. Then you have the literature review. Obviously, literature review carries a lot of it. Why literature review is required over there? It is not that you want to prove that, okay, I have done better than the others. No, it is supposed to give you understand. It is supposed to tell tell the audience in the sense the reviewers, or maybe the papers, the people who would refer to your paper, that you have critically evaluated the existing literature, and what is your key findings? What are your key findings? Have you identified the gaps? And are you providing a theoretical framework for the work? Okay. Then we have the methodology. Again, methodology should be very, very clear. Many people don't know, or are not able to present properly what is the way in which they have done the research. This is very ridiculous. Many times I've seen people, I've interacted with so many so-called researchers, and they are not able to tell what exactly they have done. I mean, this is so ridiculous. Please don't do that kind of thing. If you do your work sincerely, if you really do your work, if you really are in a position to, if you have already if you have already completed your work in a sincere and systematic way, with correct logical thinking and analytical approaches and all those things, this methodology should be crystal clear in your mind itself. Okay, so then presenting it becomes very easy. Okay, this actually also provides a way to verify or evaluate whatever you have done. because if your research methodology is clear, some other people can also replicate it and verify your work. Okay, and this is precisely what many fake researchers don't want. Yes, I claim them to be fake researchers. What they do, they don't want the others to replicate their work because it's all made up. It's all manipulated conclusions, manipulated findings, and they don't want people to replicate it and just prove them wrong. So what they do is they confuse the methodology. This is to be avoided at all costs. Okay, if you want to be good researchers and if you want to continue with this field for research and all those kinds of things, you should make sure that your methodology is crystal clear. And somebody else, if you tell your juniors, maybe your future PhD scholars, research scholars, that replicate my work, he or she should be in a position to do that very easily. Then comes the result. The result will present the findings of the study in a very clear and concise manner, using tables, figures, charts to summarize the data and highlight the important trends or patterns. So this is one of the most important part of your report. Then you have some discussion. Please remember, only presenting up to results is of no use at all. It keeps the problem statement hanging. You have to have some kind of discussion. Why this has happened? What is the thing that you have contributed to because of this kind of result being obtained, which is better than the previously reported work? So this is a very, very important topic. Discussion should never be ignored or be taken lightly. You should discuss the implications. You should also discuss the limitations and of course suggest the directions for future research. So that is where the discussion will end. Then finally, you have to conclude. Again, you have to summarize main findings and specifically significance of the research. Okay, and of course practical applications and all those kinds of things. And finally, you should conclude your report with references, because references are like the holy scriptures based on which you are doing your work. So you should have some foundation. Your literature review is based on these references, some kind of indications, some kind of methods which have been proved. For example, if I want to solve a problem of classification, sorry, I'm referring to classification again and again because that happens to be my specialization. Anyways, but the point is that if I want to go for, let's say, classification, so how can classification be attained for this particular specific problem? So that classification methodology or classification algorithm, let us break it down, bring it down to that level. So that algorithm has already proven its capability and its advantages over other existing algorithms for classification of any data, for example, and you are applying that particular algorithm for your specific data. So you need not prove that this algorithm is really why you have selected this algorithm. You should have a solid proof, a solid evidence of why I'm selecting this particular, because you can refer to that paper and say, okay, this is the reason why I've selected this kind of algorithm, because this so and so reporter has said that this has got advantages. It is proven in very good reputed journal. It is proven that this particular algorithm, which has been suggested by this particular researcher, is really having advantages over the previously existing algorithms, and that is the reason why I need not go and prove it again. So references are very, very important. Again, references should be current in the sense the timeliness of the paper should be checked thoroughly. It should not be that it should be 10 years old, 5 years old, 10, 15 years old, 20 years old, 50 years old, and so on and so forth. Unless and until you are dealing with a problem which has not yet been solved, which was put 50 years back, for example. So obviously in our field, engineering field, you should not go back to very old references unless and until it is a fundamental thing. Okay, right. So that actually is your reference. So developing research reports, how to start writing a research report. This is what we will see now. Planning and preparation. Planning and preparation phase of developing a research report involves definition of the research question or hypothesis conducted through literature survey or literature review, and design the research methodology, planning data collection strategies. So all this requires a lot of effort. A lot of your energy is going to, first of all, go into physically and mentally both, is going to go into defining the research question. As I said, of course, you have to start with definition of research question. Unless and until your research question is concretized, you cannot really proceed. So in the first 6 months, your job is to concretize, to finalize your research question. Okay. And conduct a corresponding literature review. And of course, at the same time, concurrently, you can design the research methodology as to how do I proceed? How do I plan to continue for work in this direction? You should know the direction. You should know the various different tools that are required. You should know the data, what kind of data is required. So that comes under planning and preparation. Then data collection and analysis. This is the second stage. Data collection and analysis are critical steps. Obviously, most of you would be doing your research in the field of AI and so on and so forth. So as we already know that AI is completely based on learning from data. So if your data is wrong, your model is going to be wrongly trained and it's going to give you wrong results. As simple as that. Garbage in, garbage out. That is what AI does. So you have to be very cautious about your data collection. Not only that, you have to analyze the data, find out the outliers if there are any, find out some wrong interpretation. There may be some misreported data or missed data also. You have to find out ways and means of solving this issue. Then writing the report phase involves organizing the report according to standard structure, title page, which we have already discussed, and revising and editing. This is very important. You have to go through various different revisions or revision phases, as they say, and focus on reviewing the report for accuracy. You have to be coherent. You should not have any self-contradictory statements there. Neither you should have any tall claims which are out of context, or maybe out of uh, going out of the charts. Okay, flow should be quite logical. Sections are revised to improve clarity, readability. As I was saying, editing of grammar, punctuation, all these things carry a lot of importance. A simple comma can make a lot of difference in the meaning of the semantic of your sentence. Feedback from peers or advisors is often sought during this phase to ensure the quality of the final report. So this is what happens when you actually give your paper for reviews. Okay, that brings us to the specific topic of thesis writing. Again, what is the definition of a thesis? See, you have already gone through your graduation project work, your post graduation project work. Okay, so what was the report at the undergraduate project work called as? Yes, what was it called as? Hello, am I the
Thesis,
only
sir.
one here?
No, sir. It is called as thesis. We call it
It is
thesis.
called as.
Thesis.
It is not called as thesis. It is called as a project report.
Oh, okay. Yes.
When you
For
go for,
architecture, sir, we mostly call it thesis report. So I
I'm
thought I'll
just
share
I'm
that.
just making a very generic statement with BTech and MTech, and maybe architecture may have
Right,
some
right,
different
sir. Yes, sir.
terminology.
Yes.
May have some different
Yes.
terminology. I'm not aware of that.
Right. Right.
But specifically we call it as project report. Then when you write a report at your graduate postgraduate level, what is it called as? It is called as dissertation. And for your research work leading to PhD degree, it is called as thesis. See the difference. It's a report. All the three are reports. But the way in which the terminology is coined is different at different levels. So the formal definition of thesis is a thesis is a formal document that presents original research conducted by a graduate student as a part of their academic degree program. It demonstrates the student's ability to conduct independent research, analyze findings, and contribute to their field of study. All these things, the last is very, very important. Contribute to their field of study. As I was talking about contribution. So this is where everything is summed up. Again, importance of design and preparation. Designing and preparing a thesis involves careful planning, organization, and attention to details. A good thesis will demonstrate the students' research skills, critical thinking abilities, and academic rigor. I will add to that technical rigor also. Very, very important that how rigorously you have analyzed, you have used different analytical tools, mathematical equations, or maybe some kind of theorems or lemmas, and correspondingly, how are you building up your case to support whatever you have done. So this is a very, very important case. Continuous steps in thesis writing, choosing a topic, how to write, how to select a topic. Select a topic, research topic is the first step, and it involves identifying a research area of interest. In your case, now this is a generic discussion about how to write a thesis, but then you would focus it from the perspective of your area of interest and the field which you are working. Exploring existing literature, narrowing down focus to a specific research question or hypothesis. You conduct literature survey. We have already seen this kind of thing. So what are the important things in research, in literature review or literature survey? It is actually called as literature review and not as literature survey, by the way. Okay. So many people, specifically our Indian people normally, they call it as literature survey, but it's not to be called as literature survey in the real sense, because most of the times literature survey is done by people who have been working in that field for more than 20-25 years. They can have a survey, whereas what you can do as a research scholar is review. Okay, there is a difference over there. Okay. So, reviewing relevant literature to establish your theoretical framework, identify research gaps, provide context for the study. This is where the literature survey. So, you should have the appropriate papers for your literature review. It requires synthesizing and analyzing existing research to identify key themes, trends, and debates in the field. So, there may be some conflicting situations. Some researchers may be in one particular favor, the other may be supporting another school of thought. So you have to just analyze that also. In fact, in our technical field, this normally doesn't happen because we can prove it mathematically, we can prove it experimentally. So there is no question of debates in our field. But most of the times, in scientific, mostly in the fundamental science domain, these kinds of things are there. Somebody will say electron exists in both as a wave or as a particle. Somebody will say no, it sometimes exists only in the only as a particle and only as a wave. That sort of that sort of debate has been going on for a long time now. So these kinds of things you have to clearly see and put in your literature review. Then you have to formulate a research question. Formulating a clear and focused research question or hypothesis is essential. I was talking about this right from the start. Right from the start, I have been saying you have to concretize your research question. Now, this is from the perspective of thesis writing, but you can correlate it with your entire research work, which you will be carrying out in the next few years. Okay, the research question should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. It is abbreviated as SMART. Okay, so keep all this in mind. Then you should go for methodology. which describes your research design, data collection methods, very, very important, sampling procedures, data analysis techniques used in the study, and it should provide sufficient detail as to how do others can mimic your work, replicate your work, and verify your claims. Data collection analysis involves gathering relevant data using appropriate methods and techniques, while data analysis involves organizing, interpreting, and summarizing the data to draw meaningful conclusions. So data collection is just gathering the data using appropriate, it's not just blindly, but using appropriate methods and techniques. The data should not be biased, the data should not be corrupt, the data should not be contradictory. All these things you have to take into consideration while collecting the data. You can even refer to benchmark databases which are proved to be correct. Okay, and data analysis will involve organizing, interpreting, and summarizing the data. Again, to what end? To draw meaningful conclusions. Again, writing this data collection and analysis part will be the core of your research work. Again, writing and formatting. The writing phase involves organizing the thesis into chapters or sections. As we have already said, introduction, literature review, methodology, research and discussion. So your thesis and your paper should be on similar lines. You see the similarity in the structure. That is very important. So even I'm writing a thesis or I'm writing a paper, my process should always be the same. The way in which I'm organizing that report, whether it is thesis or whether it is just a paper, the components should be more or less same and in similar connected manner, using proper citation style and all those kinds of things. Revising and defending. So the revising phase focuses on reviewing the thesis for accuracy, coherence, logical flow, and revising sections as needed to improve clarity and readability, and seeking feedback from advisors or reviewers. That reviewers is missing there. Anyway, so what are the various different software tools that you can use for thesis writing? Okay, now in recent times, chat GPT like models are available, but please use it very, very carefully. Chat GPT gives you a kind of disclaimer saying that Chat GPT is not always correct. So don't rely blindly on Chat GPT. Yes, you can restructure your statements for grammar using Chat GPT is absolutely fine. But whenever it comes to drawing the conclusions or writing very critical parts, don't at all rely on Chat GPT. Chat GPT is known to commit mistakes. Okay, so fortunately, those kinds of tools are there with you. In older times, in olden times, basically, we didn't have access to these kinds of things, so we had to do everything manually, and we didn't have any reference as such, except for the review papers that we have studied. And not necessary that all the review papers are presented in a nice manner, even though they are from reputed journals. It's not necessary that they are presented in very nice manner. It doesn't mean that you have to copy and paste from there also. So you have to use your own logic, your own thinking capability to express what you have understood, what you have done, what implications your research has got. All those things can be put forward in a nice, proper way so that others can easily understand it. Okay, so there are some tools which can make life easier for you, for specifically for typing and all those kind of things. One of them is called as LaTeX. The spelling is LATEX. People call this latex. No, that is the wrong pronunciation. It is called as LaTeX. Okay, so LaTeX is a typesetting system commonly used for scientific and mathematical documents, which is very advanced, but it requires some kind of scripting. Okay, you can have very nice, very beautiful presentation, very beautiful document which supports very much advanced mathematical symbols and all those kind of things. So LaTeX is the first choice. But if you don't want to learn anything new, for example, scripting and all those kind of things, your good old Microsoft Word is also fair enough. I had used Microsoft Word because I didn't want to waste time in learning LaTeX again. So Microsoft Word was quite okay for me. Most of the papers nowadays accept Microsoft Word also. There's something called a Scrivener and Zotero or EndNote kind of things are also there. But they have got a very nice way of creating the bibliography. Okay. Now, as it comes to bibliography, I would like to point out one thing. What I did when I was doing my research, what I did was I had about 120 references roundabout, and I had made a database out of it. I had created a database out of it based on the chronology in a chronological order, and then correspondingly, whenever I wanted to fetch a particular reference, I did not go through it manually. I had the PDFs of all those things. So these PDFs, I created a small program in Visual Basic, and just if I type the reference number, my own number, like 1234, I used to immediately get the PDF in front of me. So these kinds of simple things you can do to reduce your manual labor, to reduce the time taken for document retrieval. Many times you don't remember where you have kept it, in which folder you have kept it, with, what is the reference number. So you start with your giving your own reference numbers. For example, the very first paper that you see corresponds to, I mean, whatever you see, start with, give it a number 1, number 2, number 3, and so on and so forth. So it becomes your own reference, I mean, own reference numbers. All right. So these kinds of things are useful for writing the thesis. Layout, structure, and language of typical reports. As I said, you have to start with introduction. You have to go for chapters or sections. Subsections are there. Paragraphs. Paragraphs are the building blocks, and each containing a single idea or argument. So you have to give a clear and concise paragraphs for the reader to follow without any extra efforts. Language style is very important. The report is typically formal, uses formal and objective, using clear and precise language to convey the information. Your thesis should completely avoid colloquialisms, slang, or overly complex terminology that may not be transferred to the readers at all. It will clear. Uh, it will create confusion in their minds and uh, will detach the readers from your work. What do you mean by slang? What do you mean by colloquial terms or colloquialisms? What do you mean by slang? Yes? Has nobody heard of what is a slang?
Slang is style of speaking.
It is a style of speaking, not really accepted by the grammar, right? Or maybe the language syntax. It is not accepted, but it is coined. It is coined that way. Okay, it's a slang, means it's a uh, some kind of a newly invented word which has not been
Yeah,
yet been
like
accepted in the,
Indo-English.
yeah,
Like
which
Indian
has not
English,
been,
Indo-English.
yes,
Sometimes in English words also we use some Indian language and we just say ing, something like that.
exactly, just like bandobast or maybe something like that.
Yeah.
So that thing is not really slang because now it has been accepted in English dictionary. Every month there is an addition to different words. But anyways, you have to avoid the words which are not very common right now. Okay, which are not very common in the formal way. So that is it. Okay, then you have illustrations and tables. As we already know this statement that a picture speaks 1,000 words. So obviously your illustrations and tables, rather specifically the visuals, will play a fundamental role in transferring your idea, your findings, to the reader. Visual aids such as illustrations, figures, and tables play a crucial role in enhancing presentation of the data. It will clarify the complex concepts. Many times flowcharts are written for that, drawn for that reason, to understand, to clarify what is the process and so on and so forth, and obviously to engage the audience. They help readers visualize information, identify trends, and understand relationships more effectively than text alone. So, as we have already said, picture speaks 1,000 words. So, you need not be elaborate on that. I need not be elaborate on this front because you already know about it. Guidelines for incorporating illustrations. When incorporating illustrations into report, you have to choose relevant and high quality visuals. Many times I have seen uh, that they put some kind of image and that this image is distorted, which really creates a very, very bad impression. First of all, it is not of high quality. It looks grainy. Number two, it looks distorted. The aspect ratio is uh, is not at all proper, badly set, I say. So it creates a very bad impression on the reviewer or the reader, as a matter of fact. Okay, so you should always have proper aspect ratio. There should not be distortions in the images or pictures or whatever illustrations that you are using. It should provide clear explanation and the relevance to the research. Showing a man doing something doesn't really make any sense. What is being done? You can just show what is being done. For example, he ra- rather, maybe for example, if you are trying to capture the electroencephalogram of a person, then you probably show only the head part. Showing a picture of a person from a distance wearing that headband is really not relevant. You have to show the exact sensor, the exact let us say the electrodes, and so on and so forth. So you have to be very specific about the illustrations. Formatting the tables is again very important because the uh, the columns and the rows are really, I mean, this is what gives you a clear cut idea of what exactly you have achieved. Most of the times we summarize this in the form of tables. For example, your confusion matrix, if I want to, sorry if some people don't follow this, confusion matrix, people will, from AI background, will follow this. So if you want to show the confusion matrix, you should show what is the true positive, you should show what is the true negative, and so on and so forth. Otherwise, it doesn't really make sense to show only the confusion matrix without anything. Okay, the ground truth and the actually observed, your output of your system, it doesn't really make any sense. You have to show what is the true positive, true negative, false positive, false negative, and so on and so forth, corresponding to a particular class. I'll show you my research presentation because you already have one presentation topic also here. So I'll show my presentation, my PhD presentation. I'm not saying that it is perfect, but it has been appreciated by so many people, my reviewers and my referee, and so on and so forth. So that is the reason why I'll show you my example also. Anyways, so tables are very, very important. Bibliography, reference, and footnotes are also very important because this is where you are basing your research on. Okay, this is the foundation of your research. So obviously, this has to be very, very proper. It has to be easily traceable. Traceable in the sense, it should not be that it's an hypothetical, it's a fake paper. Somebody has written, okay, this is a paper, and this is. You should be in a position to. We have digital object identifiers for the same purpose, so that you can track. You can track the um, paper itself. Okay. Right. Now, the next topic that is there in your syllabus is oral presentation. So we start with the definition of oral presentation. So what is an oral presentation? It's a formal presentation of research finding delivered orally to an audience, typically accompanied by visual tools like slides or charts or graphs. It is an opportunity for researchers to communicate their findings, engage with the audience, and demonstrate their knowledge and expertise on the topic. This is where your final defense. This will be used for your final defense. So importance of effective communication. We already know the importance of effective communication. If you are trying to say something and if is meant differently or understood differently by the audience, then everything goes south. The presentation goes south, right? Clear articulation is necessary. What you say, what you project, what you say, what you speak should not be what you have constructed roughly in your minds, because that actually indicates your thinking process. What I want to convey, what do I want to convey to the audience should be clearly formulated in your mind, and you have to speak it out. That is called as articulation. Well organized content is of course a mandatory thing for effective communication. That with all these things will help you convey the research findings to your audience and make a very good impression on them. How to create effective presentations? As I said, presentation is not only PowerPoint presentation. Please, people are confused. Many times they take it for granted that presentation is always PowerPoint presentation. Presentation is a generic word. How you present something. You can present yourself many times. So how you present yourself to your friend, that is also presentation. But when we talk about visual aids and all those kind of things, here we make use of tools such as PowerPoint. Okay. So planning and preparation are crucial steps in creating effective presentation. You should organize, plan what you are supposed to do. How do you start? How do you open the presentation? What are the objectives of the presentation? Key messages. What do you want to convey? Okay. Organize the content, preparing visual aids such as slides or handouts, and of course rehearsing the presentation multiple times, which will improve your timing, confidence, delivery method, and of course it may also give you a direct indication as to whether it is going to be a little bit lengthy presentation or whether it is too short, and so on and so forth. So you can correspondingly make changes to your presentation. That is the reason why rehearsing is very, very important. Structuring the presentation involves involving the content into introduction, body, and conclusion. So the three basic things: introduction sets the stage for your presentation, body will present the main things, whatever you have done so far, and what are your findings, and conclusion, and of course the summary is included in the conclusion part. So here there is a very nice word, main takeaway for the audience. So what is the takeaway? Okay, you have to concentrate on that. What is going to be their takeaway? Use of visual aids such as slide charts enhance the presentation by providing visual support for key points or data. Please remember that presentation is a supportive tool. Now you have seen this, my presentation itself. It is, you will be surprised that it has been put together in a matter of half an hour. And the reason is that I was given some other topic and I had prepared a presentation for that. And I just confirmed it with Harshada, I guess. And we found out that something was, even with Shruti also, and Shruti told me that this is what is there. But earlier some other topic was given to me. I had prepared a presentation on that, and now I had to do this. But even if I put it together in half an hour, do you see any inconsistency? This is what is required. Okay, because I have lived this kind of things. I did not prepare myself for this. Okay, it is all coming directly. Anyways, so use of visual aids. Visual aids should be clear, concise. I'm not using any visual aid except for this presentation here because it was put together in a little bit of a hurry. But otherwise, there are some other presentations which I will walk you through that presentation after the end of this session. Anyways, rehearsing is very important, as I was telling you about. Importance of visual aids. It will enhance understanding. In simple plain words, it enhances understanding. It enhances the way what you want to convey to your audience. Okay, it will reinforce, try to help in reinforcing your key points and enhancing the comprehension, the understanding of the audience. Keeping audience engaged. This is very, very important. I know this presentation of mine is not keeping many people, uh, let us say, engaged visually. Maybe, maybe they are listening to me, but it should not be. It should not be like this. In the simple, plain words, that since it was put together in a hurry, I was not able to put any attractive, graphics into it. So,
But your
uh,
presentation is too good, sir. I really liked it actually.
thank you so much. But you see that
And your
this is
explanation is also like quite interesting, sir, actually.
uh, as I said, I have lived through the process of research.
No,
It
like,
comes like that. There is no book which I have read for all these things. This is all my own experience through which I'm talking, through various different interactions I've had with fantastic researchers. Many of them are my very good friends. A gentleman called as Professor Dr. Aditya Abhyankar. He's a very good friend of mine. So I've been talking to him, and his views and all those kinds of such kinds of views together, put together, I have my own thought process, and that is what is coming in front of you right now. Anyways, so
as a teacher, if I have to appreciate a teacher is really great, I can say about you. That's all.
sorry.
As a teacher, if we have to appreciate another teacher is also not easy, sir. So I am saying it's really good.
Okay, thank you so much. Anyway, I wish I would have had more time. In fact, today I the problem was that I'm really not feeling well. I'm on leave today, but since I had committed to the lectures, uh, having a splitting headache right now. But anyways, this keeps me distracted. Good. Okay, thank you so much. Please continue listening to this. Anyways, so clarity. You should have clarity. I mean, first of all, if you expect your audience to have clarity, you yourself should have clarity, right? And visual aids will actually improve this kind of clarity, right? Conclusion is very important. Summary of key points. Developing research reports, thesis writing, and oral presentations. Conclusion is a very, very important part. Okay. Each will require a careful planning, organization, and attention to detail to effectively convey your findings and specifically keep the audience engaged. Importance of structure and communication, as we have already been talking about. Clear structure, effective communication, and visual aids play a crucial role in success of research reports, thesis writing, and oral presentation. Okay. In fact, what I'm doing right now is I'm summarizing whatever we have been doing for the last whatever time. Right. This is the conclusion actually. So I'm making a conclusion out of it, just as an example of how do I. So this is what it is. Encouragement for further learning. Researcher and scholar, it is important to continue learning and honing our skills in research methodology, academic writing, presentations techniques. By striving for these kinds of excellence, we can contribute to the advancement of your field and obviously make some kind of uh, significant contribution to the society. Then you should have question and answer. Open floor for questions and discussions. Question and answer provides an opportunity for audience to ask questions, seek clarification. Never be afraid of questions and answers. Many people, those who are not really confident, they have a very big fear of question and answers. But how to deal with question and answers is the skill that you should have. And let me tell you one thing, if you are doing the research in the right direction, properly, sincerely, hard work, without any manipulation, question and answers, rather answers to the questions put by audience, come naturally. That is my self experience. I can share one very uh, tricky situation during my final defense, where uh, one of my the guide, my own guide, who is a very good person, and there was one person, very influential person in who was the dean of engineering faculty in Pune University then, and these two had some internal problems, stripes, right? So this gentleman, this dean, wanted to put me in tight situation by asking some weird questions. But the way in which I answered his questions, everybody appreciated it. In fact, the person who was asking the stupid questions, I'm sorry to say, he asked stupid questions, but, but that person also later on said, no, I had to ask some questions. That is the reason why I asked you these questions. Otherwise, I know what you have done, and so on and so forth. Anyways, the way in which I dealt with those questions was because I had actually performed everything. There was no manipulation whatsoever. There was no, shortcuts were taken. I hadn't given all this work to my students, undergraduate students. No, there is a very bad tendency to give some part of your research work to your students, and then 2, 3 groups, and then collect them together and present it as your work. This is not acceptable. Very, very bad. You will never be a good researcher in that situation. For people who do something like this, should avoid calling themselves as researchers. Anyways, so the point here is that once, how will you be prepared for the question and answer session? Only and only when you have done your work on your own. Very, very clear. Ask me a question on my research work today, which has been done in 2007, 8, 9, and I can tell you each and every detail. Even if you ask me a question on the circuit or maybe the project work which I had been doing, which I had done back in 1993 for my BE project, I can tell you all the details. It's not that my memory is good. My memory is in fact very bad, very poor. But whatever I had done, I remember it very, very clearly. Anyways, so this was the, then you have, okay, so these are the references where you can seek further help from. We are coming to the end of this session. So these are the references. I'll share this slide with all of you, these slides with all of you as a handout. Harshada, uh, please remind me to share it. Harshada, is she there? Hello? 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 Anyone there?
Yes,
Yes,
sir, you
sir.
are audible.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, somebody can remind me of sharing these slides, right? And of course, so that you can go through these references. So for developing research reports, there are some very good books which are sorry, given over here. For thesis writing, you have different set of books. For oral presentation, also there are some certain books. You can just refer to these. Yeah, that's all from my side. Um, if there are any questions, I'll take the questions. Otherwise, we'll end this topic, right?
Sir, how do we have to connect you, sir, like for any doubts or clarifications, sir?
You can ask me a question right now, or if not, okay. Harshada knows, everyone knows my email ID, so you can just, or you can just take my contact number and WhatsApp me, or even call me up. No problem with that.
Yeah, but like from where to get, so that's the thing.
Okay. I can share my number here.
Because we generally tend to get doubts only during exams, sir.
Okay. Let me see how I can share it.
You can write on any
Chat.
notepad or something.
Okay, I'm writing it in a chat right now. Okay.
Okay, sir.
This is my contact number.
But can we see the chat? I don't know.
Don't you have access to this chat?
No, sir.
Okay, 1 second. Okay, I will do that. Just a minute. Just a minute. I'll come out with something. Mhm. Okay. Is it visible? Hello?
No, no, sir. I don't know. We do not see the chat box itself, sir.
No. This presentation. Look
Yeah,
at the
yes, sir.
presentation first slide.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is visible,
I've
sir.
added my, yeah,
Yes, sir.
I've added the details, my contact.
On first slide, sir.
Yeah, I mean that is what is being presented right now. है ना? दिख रहा है ना?
Sir, I can see only
Yes,
thank
sir.
you,
It
sir.
is visible.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please share it in your group. I'm there in the group, so you can just. I did not actually explicitly give you the details, no, because it's already there. I'm in the group. PhD, that whatever group you have created. You know?
Yeah, you can put it there also, sir. Like it's not
I
visible.
mean, it's already there now. I'm already there.
Yes, yes,
Lecture.
yes. The group you have there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The group. Yes,
So
sir.
I mean,
I
it's
see.
redundant.
Yeah,
Anyways,
yeah.
so
Okay, sir.
are there any questions? If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer those. Yeah, it can be any question related to research. Yeah, not necessary. Not necessary. Yeah, to be for the specific topic, right? Okay, ask. Go ahead, please. Hello. Somebody's trying to speak. Sushma.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, ask me. I think we have a very less time remaining for this meeting. I can, of course, extend this if you want, but that's fine. Okay. No questions? Are there no questions?
No, sir.
Well, that
No,
is a
sir.
very scary thing, you know. If there are no questions, there are two possibilities. One is that you have understood everything, or you haven't understood anything. Very scary thing for a teacher. Which one do I assume? Anyways, so shall I stop the meeting now?
Sir, attendance?
Attendance, I think, is available. It's a long time since I've used this now, but yeah, I can have the attendance. Download attendance list. That's it. So I have the attendance. I have. Okay, let me check it. Yeah. Now, most of the things are okay, but there are a few people who joined as guests and left, joined back, left, something like that is happening. Anyways, don't worry about that.
Hello, sir.
Harshita, what's wrong with your microphone?
Hello, sir.
Yeah,
Sir, I lost my connection, sir.
okay.
Hello.
ठीक है, चलो, no problem. As it is, I'm concluding this thing, this session. Okay,
Thank you, sir.
so we are finished with this unit.
Thank you.
I wish
Thank you, sir.
all the best to all of you for your research endeavor. Right? You can contact me if you have any doubt related to research work. You can just contact me. You've got the contact details. Fine. Signing off now. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.